the dunk of the year. And the Timberwolves beat the Jazz. But the dunk of the year. Plus, a lot of talk about the Jazz.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is POSTCAST. David Locke along with Ron Boone. And the two, Ron Boone just said it, the two best highlights that have happened in the NBA this year are now both by Anthony Edwards. One was his block shot, I believe, against Indiana, if I remember correctly.
It was.
To win the game, where he hit his head on the rim. And the dunk tonight, in which he fouls John Collins and knocks him out with a concussion, dislocates his finger, and is so far above the rim that he actually throws it down because hitting John Collins prevents him from getting all the way to the rim. And the explosion and the power was something I had never seen before. Wow. Absolutely incredible. Wolves win at 114-104. And that somewhere around then kind of got Anthony Edwards going and swung the game, too. That would be the other side of this. Wow, Ron. Let's go to the dunk for a second because that is the headliner. Like, I've been in the league for 30 years. You've been in the league for 50. I mean, I'm sure I saw something of the sort somewhere. But I got to be honest. I can't – I'm not coming up with anything that was that explosive, that height for a dunk.
So if we can go back, and I know.
No, I want to go back.
In the day. We go back when guys dunked, and it wasn't the powerful dunks, finesse-type dunks. Julius Erving coming down the left side before he cups it and dunks over Michael Cooper, that type of thing that we used to see back then.
Michael Jordan used to just fly.
Right. And those were dunks, but they wasn't powerful dunks. Now the game is changed so much that guys, I think they're jumping higher nowadays.
Yeah, this was NASA. We have takeoff.
Right.
And all of the flames and the explosion underneath were a part of it.
Yeah. And so that's what's making them so spectacular. And guys now are looking, or they want to dunk on you. I mean, that type of thing. And because why? It's going to be on ESPN.
Oh yeah, that one's living for a long. They're all, what they're doing in the locker room right now in Minnesota. Well, Rudy's not because he's out here taking pictures. You know what the rest of them are doing? They're all sitting around looking at the dunk. The first thing they did when they went to the locker room after the game is they all got online and they all looked at the dunk.
Yeah, and what I wanted to see though was Collins has a concussion.
Or he's in the protocol.
So, and it had to be. Well, they said he stuck his finger and got his finger stuck in his eye.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Tim and Jake said. I didn't see it. I was jumping out of the building because Anthony Edwards has just done something I've never seen before in my life. That was sick.
Aside from that, what, he had 7 points at the half.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the other part about him. He's next, right? And this is what's going to be interesting is a lot of ways this upcoming playoff run is going to be about Jason Tatum and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Anthony Edwards, and which one of these is next. Like, which one of these is ready to carry his team playoff wins. Tatum's done some of it, but it's a little question whether he can go win an NBA Finals. He'll be in the NBA Finals. Boston's great. They're much better than anybody else in the East. Nicola's proven it. Giannis has got it. Like, can Anthony Edwards carry Minnesota to a championship?
I think he can do it if they have a full squad. And because they were looking just, I thought very, I won't say unbeatable, but awfully difficult to beat them. We'll see they're not still won't be at full strength tomorrow, I don't think, if Rudy doesn't play.
Well, Karl-Anthony Towns is out for the rest of the year.
And now you got Reed, who's
got a head injury.
So it's possible that they will not be full strength tomorrow. And then they leave there and go to Cleveland. I mean, these games are at home. Cleveland, Golden State, and then Detroit.
I mean, this was a month for Minnesota. We'll get to the Jazz here in a second. For Minnesota, this was a monster stretch. They just won back-to-back games on the road. They only have 4 road games left all season long. They're at home the rest of the way. They are a legitimate chance to hold on to the number 1 seed, even though they have Karl-Anthony Towns out.
Yeah, so they're tied right now with Denver, and they play the Denver Nuggets on what?
Tomorrow
night.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night
all
at
right.
home. Yeah.
So let's go Jazz for a second. There's 2 parts of this game to talk about. The one side will be the first quarter when the Jazz were virtually brilliant. The second would be the final 5 minutes when they did not. The only field goal they got was on an offensive rebound kick out to Keontae George. The most recent is the collapse late in game. They're trying to go to Lowry in the post and the elbow and make him learn those plays. Keontae got super loose with the basketball. That just was a really disappointing offensive close to the basketball game.
Yeah, and the type of turnovers that we're having right now are dribble turnovers, and that's not going to go well with Will. Turnovers during the course of trying to execute your offense and those type of things, make the right pass. Defenders make a good play or something like that. I think you can live with something like that, but dribbling between two defenders and turning it over, that's kind of what Will was talking about in his press conference.
Game is 93-91. Taylor Horton-Tucker makes a free throw with 8:13 left. The Jazz make one. Lowry Markkanen scores a 6-footer with 5:22 left. Lowry gets 2 free throws with 4:41 left, and Keontae hits a 3. And of points that actually mattered, game was over with the final 41 seconds by the time the Jazz score again. So the Jazz score 8 points in the next 8 minutes of the ball game from that point on. And it's really when they brought their guys back, right? And so that's the disappointing part about this. They were right. They actually led it 90-88 with 9 minutes left. And they, obviously Minnesota is one of the best teams in the league. You're not necessarily expecting to win, but you just kind of run through this final stretch. Horton-Tucker takes a really difficult 3 that was not a good look. Sexton turns it over. Horton-Tucker misses a 3-footer. Sexton misses a 3-pointer. Hendricks misses a 3-pointer. Sexton gets a technical free throw. Then Markkanen does get a field goal and gets fouled in the next position, but then Keontae turns it over. Now it's a game. It's 196, 4:17 left. Kyle Anderson misses, and Keontae turns it over trying to split the double team like you're talking about. And then Lowry turns it over on the next possession, and it's 103-96. Now Lowry misses a 3, offensive rebound done, back out to Keontae for 3, and the Jazz kind of feel like in there, but then Lowry misses a 21-footer. Keontae misses a runner, and that's Dunn gets wide open 3 at 107-99, misses. They kick it back out to him in the air balls, and that's pretty much it. So just a disappointing, but this is what it's about. This is Lowry learning how to play as the guy and Keontae learning how to value possessions. This is exactly what Will wants them to go through right now.
Yeah, to lose control of a ball game, a lot of times it starts with turning the basketball over. Sometimes bad shots can lead to losing control of a basketball game, but turnovers, boy, coaches just they go crazy, when something like that happens. Those are possessions. Those are shot attempts that you don't get, especially when they're scoring on the other end of the floor.
Now the positive is the other night we talked about a lot on POSTCAST, and the Jazz got really caught in that mid-range game and a lot of floaters and weren't moving the basketball. And then Will made those comments after the game. They were much better at moving the basketball, played much better together tonight. Really that was a much better performance, and you saw growth from one night to the other.
Yeah. So getting back to the turnover, 17 and giving up 27 points. Now that's going to
I'll get you.
Get you. Now Minnesota, for the most part, only allows team to attempt 32 3-point shots a ball game. That's where they're at tonight. They only allow 11 makes. The Jazz ended up with 14. So defensively, even without Rudy, they were still pretty much on track.
They pretty impressive performance for them without Karl Anthony Towns, without Rudy Gobert, and without Naz Reid at the end to be able to pull it off. The shot chart for the Jazz, I was just going to pull up. They ended up taking a lot of those mid-range floaters because that's kind of what Minnesota does to you. But I thought they did it in a manner, as Will Hardy says, we're not telling our guys not to take those shots, but certainly not as the first option. Use the entire possession to try to get something. Jazz end up taking 28 of them tonight, 14 of 28. Just 7 of 16 at the rim for the Jazz tonight. They only got 4 corner threes. Give Chris Finch credit. Like Minnesota, even without their guys, is taking away the rim, taking away corner threes. Jazz allowed 12 corner threes tonight, which is an awful lot. But though the Jazz did deny Minnesota at the rim, also Minnesota only had 14 rim shots.
So you're giving him credit, and I absolutely agree with you that if you're going to, Rudy probably could have played, but we'll let you rest one more ball game. It's a possibility we could win this game without you, and we want you to be ready when we play against Denver, that type of thing. And then the way he was playing, I mentioned McLaughlin. He's only been averaging 9 minutes a ball game. Key player tonight. making with the number of threes he was able to make. Then looks at 3 for 3. He played 21 minutes. So guys stepping up and getting the job done.
You know, a really interesting moment of our broadcast was you talked about a player, I think it was Nasri at the time, of being a luxury. And I actually didn't know which player you're talking about because I thought Kyle Anderson, who was on the floor, was the luxury, right? Like, so I thought in that sense, I mean, just give Tim Conley credit for the roster he's built in Minnesota that's got them now a half game out of the number 1 seed in the Western Conference because they just have guys that can do a lot of different things.
The luxury I was referring to is you got 3 guys that you can rotate around. Now, Rudy can only play the center position. Karl Anthony Towns, center forward. Reed, center power forward. So you got 3 guys there that can be just do a lot of things within your offense, and so that makes that special.
All right, star it up tonight. Lowry had 22. Sexton had 24 on the point total. 12 rebounds for Lowry. 14 rebounds for Walker tonight. Assists, 25 for the group. 8 for Keontae, but he had 6 turnovers. This is interesting because I don't know if I have a vibe on who I think the star was tonight.
No. Lowry, the coming back, playing 31 minutes, and they were productive minutes. He didn't look bad. So I think if you're going to go,
he did have 6 turnovers. That looked bad.
6 turnovers is really bad. Yeah. So 6 of the 12 of the 17 turnovers the Jazz had was 2 of your star players.
Do you get automatically discounted for a star if you have 6 turnovers?
We can make our own rules, can't we?
Oh, you make any rules you want. You're Ron Boone.
I think we should.
New rule. So that means starring is going to be hard tonight.
Yeah.
Does Walker get a star for 14 rebounds? The Jazz defense was pretty good. He was on the floor for 30 minutes tonight.
I think Walker Kessler.
Collin was pretty awesome there offensively for a little while tonight.
Yeah, Sexton.
He had a -10. Walker was -14. I am at a loss for stars tonight. Not because I don't think they played well. I actually thought they played much better tonight. They moved it around. They did a lot of things. I mean, a little bit of this, you only score 104 points because you're playing Minnesota's defense. Wow. What are we going to do, Ron?
Well, we have to pick 2.
Yeah, we do.
So Lowry's return, even though he had 6.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to start using process of elimination and then see who's still left.
Yeah.
So I do think Lowry gets a star.
Okay, Lowry and Kessler. How about that?
All right, Lowry and Kessler get stars tonight.
All right.
Jazz, 114-104 lost to Minnesota. Thanks very much for listening to POSTCAST. Locked on Jazz will come to you tomorrow. We now send you the first ever 24/7 national sports streaming channel on YouTube, Locked on Sports Today. If you've not caught Bracket Breakdown, it's on Locked on College Basketball. We'll get you ready for the brackets. Have a good one. Talk to you soon.